Meal prepping some healthy, high protein food options sometime during your week is one of the best ways that you can stay on track, especially if you have fitness goals, health goals, protein goals. I am a mom of 4 kids, so it does not always feel like I have time to meal prep. Ain't nobody got time for that. But trust me, if you can invest a couple of hours into yourself sometime during your week, it is going to make an absolute massive difference for you and for your health and fitness goals, I promise. We've been doing this summer glow up meal prep series now. We're coming to the end of it because summer is almost here. All of my meals are healthy and high protein focused because we all know how important protein is. I always provide my recipes and my grocery list in the description below, so make sure you check that out and grab it. It's completely free, no strings attached. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. On the menu today, we're gonna be making some pancakes, one of my favorite breakfast foods. But of course, I'm gonna be upping the protein, making it a little bit healthier than your typical pancake. And I also thought it would taste really good to have a ricotta cheese topping with sliced strawberries. Who wouldn't like that? That sounds awesome. So that's gonna be my breakfast or even a snack option. I thought this would be really fun. One of my favorite appetizers whenever I go to a party are jalapeno poppers. Bomb. I love a little bit of spice with the cream cheese filling wrapped with bacon. So I was thinking, how can I make these healthier with more protein? I got you covered if you like jalapeno poppers. This is gonna be a perfect snack. It's also gonna be a really good lunch paired with some kind of pre-mixed salad. So I'll pick up a pre-mixed salad, maybe like a Southwest salad, something like that, and I'll just put my jalapeno poppers right on top of my salad. It would also make a really good grab and go snack. You just quickly reheat them, take with you. And then my third option is going to be a Tex Mex style chicken tortilla soup. I don't always enjoy soups when the weather's getting warmer, but something about like a Mexican flavor soup, that tastes like summer to me. I'm gonna do some grilled corn. We have some fire roasted tomatoes. So many yummy flavors. I'm really excited for this one. Okay, grab yourself a drink, put on some music, have fun. Let's meal prep. I would be lying if I told you that meal prepping is always easy. It's not easy and it never really feels convenient. There never feels like the perfect or the right time to meal prep. And if you come across that time as a busy mom, please share it with me, because I always feel like I'm overwhelmed and this isn't a good time to meal prep, but I'm always so thankful that I actually did it. And I typically will pair grocery shopping days with meal prep days, which I don't know if that's the best idea or not, but it just helps me to stay organized. So when I get home from the grocery store, I kind of organize all of my different ingredients together. So I put my proteins together, my canned goods I try to keep together, my fresh ingredients. Everything has its spot, so that way when I'm ready to start meal prepping, I know exactly where everything is. And that's one of my biggest pieces of advice today, is just get organized. And hopefully that will take some of the overwhelm away. And I just want to quickly mention that the pancake recipe today is actually a sourdough discard pancake recipe. I always have loads of sourdough discard and I never know what to do with it. So I'm always looking for new and creative ways to use up my discard. If you don't have a sourdough starter, that's what this is. So many people have extra discard just lying around. So try to find some if you can. There's so many health benefits. And if you aren't making sourdough bread, what are you waiting for? Come on. And if you don't have sourdough discard and if you don't want to find any, don't worry, in my recipe, I will also include how to make the recipe without this. But come on, this stuff is like gold, you gotta get some. So if you have one of these large griddle pans, I think that's what they're called, these are really handy to have because you can cook so many pancakes at once and you're gonna save yourself a lot of dishes, which is what I'm all about when I'm meal prepping. The less dishes, the better. With that being said, this pancake recipe, you're gonna be using multiple bowls because you wanna whip up your egg whites first. And while those are whipping up, we're gonna work on some of the other wet ingredients first and also the dry ingredients. And the reason we're whipping up the egg whites is this is going to make our pancakes nice and light and fluffy. So my wet ingredients, I have some egg yolks, light ricotta cheese, and I'm using kefir. So I make my own kefir at home. I'm all about adding probiotics to every and any meal that I can. and I recently got into kefir, so it's been just a fun little experiment for me at home. Anyways, you can use any kind of milk that you have on hand. So I've added that, a little bit of lemon zest, vanilla extract, and maple syrup, and I think that's it. So I just whipped it all together, and then I have a separate bowl for my dry ingredients. Now with the flour, today I'm making them with a whole wheat flour, which is totally fine, but I do recommend if you have oat flour and you prefer even a lighter texture for your pancakes, go for the oat flour because it tastes excellent. I made a second batch with oat flour and I think I do prefer the oat flour, but feel free to even use all-purpose flour if you want an even lighter pancake, but you will be missing out on some of the health benefits that a whole wheat flour would bring to this dish. So mix the dry and the wet ingredients together. And it's at this point that I realized, oh my goodness, why is it so dry? Oh yeah, I forgot the most important ingredient, the sourdough discard. So I recommend adding your discard with the wet ingredients, but it's okay to add it later if you forget like I did. So you just want to mix everything together, and it's going to depend on the flour you use and also your discard, how thick it is. So you can add a little bit more milk if it feels like it's too thick. I mean, just go for that pancake batter consistency, and then we're gonna add in the whipped egg whites, and you're just going to gently fold these in because you want all of those delicate air bubbles that are trapped inside to stay trapped. You get what I'm saying. So set this aside. You're gonna give it a few minutes just to bubble up. Some little fermentation bubbles are gonna start to happen. So I just put that aside while my griddle is preheating. And then I have some coconut oil that I'm using to grease my pan. And then I'm going to use a 1/4 cup to measure out approximately 10 to 12 pancakes. And then once they've bubbled up, you give them a flip, and I like to store these in a Ziploc bag. You can either put them in your fridge or in your freezer, and then to reheat, it's so easy. You just put them in the toaster, warm them up, and they taste as good as fresh. Next, I'm gonna work on my Tex Mex Chicken Tortilla Soup. I was going to buy frozen corn. You could even use canned corn, but then I found these already husked corn on the cobs, so I couldn't help myself. I wanted that charred corn to go in the soup, so I decided to turn on the grill and just grill my corn on the cob, but feel free to swap out just frozen or canned corn if you just want convenience. But if you want to level up this soup, go for the corn on the cob because there's nothing like it. So I've just lightly oiled my corn and then put them on the grill, and while those are cooking, I'm going to start chopping up some of the other ingredients that I need for the soup. So while I'm chopping all of these ingredients, I just wanted to remind you, especially if you're new here, I include all of the exact measurements and the macros in my recipe card. So make sure you check that out if you want to recreate this recipe. It was my birthday on the weekend, and my husband got me a fitness watch, one of those step trackers. I am absolutely loving it. I am new to this 10K step challenge. I know it's like the big popular thing to do now, but I'm a little bit late to the game. Anyways, I actually cannot believe how hard it is to hit 10K steps in a day. Like I'm a pretty active person. I enjoy, weightlifting. I don't do a ton of cardio, but I have been going for 2 long walks every day, and it still feels like a struggle to hit that 10K. Maybe it's because I have a toddler with me and she just absolutely hates sitting in the stroller now. So it is a chore getting out for long walks by myself. I would love all of your tips and suggestions for how I can get more steps in with a toddler at home. If you're doing 10K steps plus, please share all the tips because I need them. Anyways, back to the meal prep. I am putting my toppings in one container here so that it's really easy for me when I'm serving the soup to just sprinkle a little bit of the cilantro and squeeze some lime on top of my soup. And then I also have another lime which I'm going to actually squeeze into the soup, but not until the end. And that's also why I put the zucchini separate from the peppers and the onions, because I want to cook the peppers and onions at the start, and I want to add the zucchini at the end. So that's why I have 2 separate bowls. And just a little tip, when you're working with multiple recipes with different ingredients, I recommend saving your onion and your garlic for chopping last, because obviously they're really stinky and it will make all of your other food taste like garlic and onion. And if you just save it until the end and you prep all of the other ingredients first, it will save you lots of washing because you won't have to take your cutting board back and forth, and you can just use the same cutting board for the entire meal prep. At least that's what I like to do. So you want to start out by warming up a large pot and coating the bottom with some olive oil. And then I have my chopped onion and bell pepper, and I'm just going to saute these vegetables first, just until they're softened. And I haven't added my garlic in yet because I didn't want my garlic to burn. So I'm going to toast some of my spices and seasonings. So I have some smoked paprika, and I recommend keeping your chicken broth close by because you don't want anything to burn, and that will just help everything not to stick to the bottom. I also have some oregano, and then this is cayenne pepper. So if you're okay with a little bit of spice, you can add that. I didn't find this soup to be too spicy. Even my kids loved it. So adding about a 1/4 teaspoon of that. So I think I forgot to film actually putting my garlic in, but it was at this point when I added my garlic, and then next I'm adding in my broth. And I used 1 carton of chicken broth. But if you like an even soupier soup, you don't want it too thick, you can add even an extra cup or just add a splash when you're serving it, because I did find this got a little bit thick as it sat in the fridge, which I didn't mind at all. But if you like it a little bit soupier, then maybe just add a little bit more liquid than the recipe calls for. So I have fire roasted crushed tomatoes. I love these tomatoes. If you can find them at your store, I definitely recommend using them. You could even use diced tomatoes if you can't find crushed. And then I have 1 can of black beans, and then I'm going to be adding in my chicken next. So obviously the chicken isn't cooked yet, so I'm just going to add it in, bring the soup up to a simmer, and let the chicken cook. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes depending on how thick your chicken is. So I'm just gonna bring that up to a simmer and put the lid on and let it cook while I work on some of my other ingredients. My corn on the cob is done, so I'm just going to set it aside and give it some time to cool before I cut some off and put it in the soup. Oh, check it out. These look perfect. So while my chicken's cooking in the soup, I am gonna have one of these for a snack, and I'm gonna show you how I would serve them in the morning with the ricotta cheese and the strawberries. When I first got into weightlifting, I was following a fitness program, and one of the recipes in this program was spreading light ricotta cheese on an English muffin with sliced strawberries and a sprinkle of cinnamon. And this became one of my favorite snacks. I absolutely loved it. So that was the inspiration behind this pancake recipe. I typically use ricotta cheese when I'm making lasagna. I never really thought about using ricotta cheese in this way before, but once I started, oh my goodness, my mind was blown. It tasted so good. It's so light. It adds a little bit of protein. It's just a really nice combination. You could always swap it for cottage cheese as well if you want a little bit more protein. Speaking of cottage cheese, that is the star ingredient in my next recipe, which is my jalapeno poppers. Guys, this is by far my favorite recipe today. My entire family devoured these. Unfortunately, I did not double this recipe, but lesson learned. Next time I make these, I need to make double because they were that good. You can't even tell the difference, in my opinion, between using a high-fat cream cheese and using the blended cottage cheese. It's so good. So blend up your cottage cheese first so it's nice and smooth, and then I added just a little bit of shredded Tex Mex cheese blend and some Parmesan, and then I'm just adding in some garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder. You can add different spices and seasonings, and of course I'm using my favorite smoked paprika. It adds a really nice smoky flavor, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then you're just going to stir everything together until it's nice and smooth. Depending on how spicy you like your jalapeno poppers, you can keep some of the seeds inside if you want a little bit more spice. I removed almost all of the seeds and my jalapeno poppers were not spicy at all. I don't know if my jalapenos just were duds or not, but they really had no spice at all. So if you want a little bit more spice, just save some of those seeds and keep them inside. And then I have turkey bacon. This is my favorite brand of turkey bacon. I get this turkey bacon at Farm Boy, but use whatever turkey bacon you can find or whatever you like. And you just want to slice them in half so these strips are thinner. So once all of the ingredients are ready, I'm just lining a sheet pan with some parchment paper and I've preheated my oven to 425. And you're just gonna take a spoonful of that filling, put it inside your jalapeno, and then we're gonna fill up all the jalapenos first. So we're doing one thing at a time here. And this is kind of the tricky part, is wrapping the turkey bacon around. The method that I found works best is just making sure the ends sit on the bottoms and it holds together perfectly fine. You don't have to try and knot them or anything. And then you're gonna bake them for about 23 to 25 minutes. And I put the broiler on at the end to give them a nice crisp. Oh my goodness. All right, these look fantastic. Oh. Mmm. Mmm. Yes. Okay, going back to the chicken soup now. My chicken breast is fully cooked and I'm just gonna put it on a pan and set it aside. And now I'm going to squeeze in the lime that I had cut earlier. So I'm using one lime in the actual soup itself. And then I have some extra lime wedges that I'll squeeze on top when I'm serving as well. And here's the zucchini. I saved this for the end of the cooking time because I didn't want them to go all mushy. So this is optional. I found it tasted so yummy. It was really convenient having the rice already cooked in the bag. I don't typically buy these pre-packaged rice packs, but I found it really convenient for today. And I recommend using that if you're short on time and you don't want to cook your own rice. But you also don't even have to use rice in this recipe. You can completely leave it out and it would be delicious as well. And I definitely cooked more corn than I needed, but I didn't mind because I ended up using it with my Southwest salad. So you might as well cook up extra and have that as a meal prep option as well. So now I'm just gonna use 2 forks and shred up the chicken, and then I will add it in the soup, stir everything together, and the soup is done. To serve the soup, I like to add some fresh chopped cilantro on top, and then I give it a squeeze of fresh lime juice as well. It just adds some fresh flavors to the soup. And then I have corn chips. You could also use tortilla chips if you like, but these chips are fantastic and they're really simple ingredients. I just had a little handful of those, and then I top it with plain 0% Greek yogurt. And if you're watching your carbs, you could always leave out the rice or the corn chips, but I wouldn't leave out the corn chips because they're so yummy in this soup. So the chicken tortilla soup ended up being way more than I expected, which actually worked out well for me because now I don't have to make dinner and I have a dinner for my family. Plus I will have leftovers for probably a couple days. So that's perfect. Just know that this meal prep recipe will give you a nice big pot of soup, so plan to share it with your family or maybe cut it in half if you want less, but it looks so good. And for my kids, they prefer sour cream, so I will use sour cream for their bowls, but I like to use plain Greek yogurt because it's much higher in protein, and I find that it tastes very similar, so that will be my choice. But for everyone else, they'll just use sour cream. Here I am. And then also, if you want, you can add like a Tex Mex blended cheese. I'm not gonna add cheese because I feel like it's already a pretty hearty meal, but even if you put like a little sprinkle of cheese, that would be really good. So up to you. Okay, we're done. That was awesome. I'm stoked about today's recipes. They look so good. I'm gonna show you how I'm going to serve each of the recipes. For breakfast, we have some pancakes, and I'm going to top them with strawberries. I have this ricotta cheese. It's a light ricotta. And then I'll add a little bit of maple syrup. So that's one meal or snack, whatever you prefer. And then I have the jalapeno poppers. Do those not look amazing? Oh my goodness, so good. And I'm going to serve that with just like a pre-mixed salad. I picked a Southwest one, but you can really choose any salad mix. So that's another meal. And then we have the Mexican or Tex Mex Chicken Soup. Yum. And I'm gonna top that with some corn chips and cilantro and lime, and then some Greek yogurt. So that wraps up another high protein meal prep. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are most excited to try. I know it's those jalapeno poppers. I know it. Anyways, all the recipes look so yummy today. I'm really excited for this week. Bye for now. See you guys next week.